Chapter 62. I was in my office, tragically buried beneath a mountain of documents. The world outside sparkled with freedom and sunshine, while I was chained to the cursed realm of bureaucracy. I've been working non-stop for days, I groaned, slumping forward, cheek squished against the desk like a defeated warrior. Seal stood gracefully behind me, hands folded in front of her. "Master," she said flatly, "it has only been an hour." "That's not the point," I whined dramatically, waving my pen like a sword of rebellion. "Emotionally, it's been days." Seal didn't even blink. I was certain she was holding back a sigh. I glanced toward the window, eyes narrowing. It was time for an elegant escape. Just as I started to rise, executing step one of my brilliantly devised getaway plan. Bang! The door swung open. Ren strode in like a storm with a fresh, towering stack of paperwork. My heart cracked. "My lady," she said without missing a beat, "please don't think I didn't notice your not-so-stealthy attempt to escape. Also," she placed the new stack in front of me with an audible thud, "Sheehan is coming with more." I paled. "You betrayed me," I whispered to Seal. "She didn't need to," Ren said, sharpening her glare. "You're the demon lord of this nation. Start acting like it when it comes to documents, too. But it's too much work. We are going to have a festival, my lady," Ren declared, crossing her arms. "Which means you have to work for it." I slumped again, defeated. Can't I just use a skill or something? Come on, Ren, you know I could finish this paperwork instantly with a bit of thought acceleration and a few parallel minds." Ren stood with her arms crossed, her iron gaze unwavering as she spoke in a measured tone. "It is not proper for the leader of a nation to rely solely on a skill for matters of diplomacy, my lady." "What about Seal, then?" I turned hopefully to her. "She's smarter than me." Seal just offered a sweet smile, one hand over her chest. "I would be delighted, Master, but it is important that you, the leader of Tempest, read and understand all matters firsthand." Ren nodded sharply. "Even Lady Seal agrees. Stop trying to weasel out of this." I slumped into my chair again, groaning theatrically. "Can't someone else do it?" "No," Ren said flatly. "Everyone else is busy. Ever since the announcement of our relationship with the Western Holy Church, we've been hosting new merchants and adventurers daily. All the administrative teams are swamped. We're short-staffed, my lady." Her expression turned serious, too serious. "If we truly intend to reduce your workload," Ren began, her voice cool and precise, "then we need to appoint strong, competent individuals to 3 critical positions: Chief Prosecutor of the Public Prosecution Office, Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, and," her tone sharpened slightly, "a 3rd personal maid assigned specifically to supervise you, so I can finally focus on paperwork without constantly chasing you down." "I don't need a 3rd maid," I protested. "You need a task force," Ren muttered. As the tension built like a pressure bomb, the door creaked open, and Diablo walked in, elegant as always, holding a thick black folder. "I have the latest progress report on the Farmouth reconstruction project, my lady." "Don't get in the way." Ren and I both snapped, glaring at him mid-argument. He froze mid-step, torn between his loyalty and sheer panic. I merely wished to serve." Ren narrowed her eyes. "I have the authority to reassign anyone to a strategic outpost, so far away, they'll forget what sunlight looks like." "Want me to test that power, Diablo?" He visibly paled. His lip quivered. Seal, stepping gracefully between them, placed a gentle hand on his arm. Now, let's not make Diablo cry." I gave her a pleading look. "You're the only one who understands me." She tilted her head. "You still have 6 hours of paperwork left, Master." I stared at the stack, then looked longingly at the window again. I swear I heard birds mocking me. Maybe I really did need a 3rd maid just to run decoy during my escape attempts. I let out a long, suffering sigh, slumping back into my chair like I was about to melt. "Come on, Ren, can't we just recruit some new people or something? Tempest's growing, we're practically a nationwide recruitment drive waiting to happen." Ren didn't even flinch. "No, Why not? We need strong and reliable people, my lady," she replied, eyes narrowed. "Not random merchants or adventurers who'll faint the moment you look at them sternly. We're talking about national administration, personal service to you, and judiciary positions. That takes trust and capability." She had a point. But still, just then, Diablo, who had recovered his composure after being nearly exiled into the abyss, let out a soft, confident laugh, brushing his cloak aside like he was in a dramatic play. He. "No need to fret, my lady. I have the perfect people in mind for these roles. I blinked. Wait, you do? Diablo nodded confidently, arms folded behind his back. Yes, their strength is more than acceptable, so filling those positions will pose no issue. They are individuals I can vouch for. Ren, ever the diligent and skeptical one, stepped forward, her violet eyes narrowing. And who exactly are they? Are they trustworthy enough to be assigned to such crucial posts? Diablo gave a composed smile, his golden eyes gleaming faintly with amusement. They are old acquaintances of mine. Beings I have known since ancient times. I am considering extending them an invitation. All of them are of the same rank as myself, so rest assured, they are capable. Same rank. Wait, didn't Seal say something like that before? That Diablo wasn't just any demon, but something far more ancient. I spoke in my mind. Hey, Seal, what does same rank as Diablo even mean? What is Diablo, exactly? Seal responded instantly, her voice soft but matter of fact, as always. Diablo is one of the primordial's ancient demons born at the dawn of the world. There are only 7 of them, each represented by a color. Diablo is Noir, the black primordial. They are vastly superior to all other demons, including archdemons. So, basically, Diablo's old friends are also these ancient demons. I leaned back in my chair, watching Diablo's smug expression and Ren's disapproving frown. Primordials, huh, ancient demons from the beginning of the world. That sounded like a disaster waiting to happen. But, if they were trustworthy and strong enough to handle the roles we needed, especially ones that might reduce my own workload. I crossed my arms, nodding to myself. Yeah, that's worth the risk. Well, I muttered, as long as they help ease my paperwork hell, I don't see a problem with it. If they're competent and loyal, I say we bring them in. Then, I looked up at Diablo. Okay, Diablo, you have my permission. Go ahead and invite them. He gave a wide, reverent bow. I shall not disappoint you, my lady. Ren, arms folded, narrowed her eyes. Wait, aren't they demons? Can't my lady just summon them directly instead of you running off? He smiled gently, as if already expecting the question. Ordinary demons, yes, but these are primordial demons, Lady Ren. They exist far above the ranks of common devils. They don't answer summons unless they themselves deem it interesting. Forcing a contract on them is impossible even for Our Lady. They choose their own terms. I see. Ren tapped a finger to her lips, clearly considering. Then her gaze sharpened. Then how about this: when my lady begins the summoning? You, Diablo, infuse your presence into the spell. If they sense your aura while the ritual begins, they might be curious enough to answer. Diablo chuckled, nodding. Indeed, Lady Ren, if they sense that I am involved, there's a good chance they'll come. Many of them still remember the old days. Our shared past might prove compelling. Ren glanced at me. What do you think, my lady? Honestly, I smirked, stretching my arms behind my head. I don't care how we get them here. If they're strong, loyal, and help reduce my insane workload, then I say let's do it. Bring in 10 of them if that's what it takes. Ciel's voice echoed softly in my mind, slightly amused. That confidence suits you, master. Though let's hope you aren't inviting even more chaos. As long as it comes with reduced work, I mentally replied. I'll take my chances. I stood from my desk, energy returning now that I saw a potential end to my paper-laden suffering. All right, let's get this summoning ready. Dot 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 dot. Dot 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 dot. Dot dot dot. As we entered my house, Ramirez floated in with slow, wobbly movements, rubbing her eyes and yawning as she hovered into the central chamber of the labyrinth. Her usual energy was nowhere to be seen today. Her wings drooped slightly, and her hair was a little messier than usual. I blinked in surprise. Ramirez, you look like you're about to collapse. Are you okay? She landed ungracefully on a nearby cushion, slumping down. I've been working non-stop on that new golem core. You know, from all the scrap Beretta brought back after wiping the floor with that Viola golem. Trying to reconfigure the structure to accept a dual-core system. Her voice was muffled as she buried her face into the pillow. I frowned. You shouldn't push yourself that hard. Yawn. Yeah, I know. I'll take a bath, then pass out in my room for like 10 hours. I nodded approvingly. That's better. Get some good sleep, okay? Oh, and, do you mind if I borrow the labyrinth for a bit? I need to use it for summoning. Ramirez waved a small hand lazily as she hovered back up. Sure, noted. With another big yawn, she floated toward the bath. leaving Diablo, Ren, Seal, and me to make our way into the labyrinth. Diablo glanced at the still active summoning circle and offered a pleased nod. Let us summon Blanc first. Among the three, she is the most sensible and well-mannered. If anyone will make a good first impression, it's her. Blanc. I tilted my head. A personal naming convention, he said, smiling knowingly. You will understand shortly. With the circle inscribed, I began channeling the summoning magic. Diablo stepped forward, silently pouring his aura into the formation. The glow intensified pale and brilliant and the entire chamber trembled slightly with the immense energy gathering. As the light reached its peak, it burst upward like a pillar, then vanished. In its place stood a woman of stunning elegance. She had long, flowing white hair that fell to her waist, almost shimmering like fresh snow. Her skin was smooth and pale, contrasting beautifully with her deep crimson eyes that shimmered with wisdom, calculation, and just a touch of danger. Her posture was graceful, her beauty absolutely arresting. She wore a fitted white dress, regal yet subtly provocative, and her every movement gave off an aura of refined confidence. And yet, beneath that composed demeanor, I sensed an immense power just like Diablo's. She blinked once, then locked her gaze onto Diablo. Noir, she said, her voice smooth and velvety. So it is you who called. How rare. It is good to see you again, Blanc, Diablo said with a respectful bow. I have found a master worth serving. One I believe you will find satisfactory. Her crimson eyes flicked toward me. Razor sharp, evaluating. I instinctively straightened my posture a little. She gave a faint, elegant smile. So, this is the one. Noir. Diablo nodded solemnly. Allow me to introduce my lady, Rimuru Tempest, the true demon lord I have sworn my absolute loyalty to. Blanc's smile widened ever so slightly. Very well, I suppose I shall see for myself, whether she is worthy of you. Well, this was getting interesting. I stepped forward, grinning. Oh, you wish to fight me, huh? Fine then, but how about this, we make it interesting? Blanc raised a pale brow, amused. Interesting. If I win, you have to work for me. Specifically, you'll become my subordinate. I could use someone competent. Quote. Your subordinate. She looked genuinely baffled for a moment, then laughed softly behind her hand. How delightfully bold. Very well, I accept. I stretched my arms with a grin. Don't regret it, all right. Ren, standing at the edge of the arena, muttered with a sigh, she's clearly just looking for a way to slack off. All right then, let's do this. I didn't even bother drawing my sword at first, just raised a hand with a playful grin and cast disintegration. A white-hot beam of concentrated holy energy burst forth, its sheer purity tearing through the air. Everything in its path began to break down at the molecular level, erased from existence. Blanc's eyes widened, but only for a moment. She dissolved like mist, elegantly slipping away with flawless spatial control. The beam carved straight through the illusion she left behind, scorching a glowing trench deep into the stone floor, still crackling with residual holy energy. Oh, that was close, she said, now hovering above the platform, hair flowing like silk. If I hadn't moved, I would have been defeated. Yeah, that's the point. She gave me a small, delighted smile. Then I won't hold back. The air around her shimmered, and intricate magical circles appeared. She unleashed a barrage of ultra-compressed flame magic similar to Hellflare, only even more refined. Her control was insane. The magic twisted around my position with surgical precision, aiming to corner me. I leapt up, slashing with my sword midair, cutting through the spell before it could collapse. My blade hummed with power, no skills involved, just pure technique. Thanks to CL's training. Your control's impressive, I called out, but you'll need more than that. I blurred forward, my foot shattering the ground beneath with the force of my jump. Blanc responded in kind, eyes glowing. She cast a barrier mid-dodge and countered with a space-warping spell, some kind of compressed spatial slash. I parried with the flat of my blade, the impact ringing out like a bell. She was strong, same class as Diablo, no doubt, but not beyond me. As we exchanged blows, her spells wove through the battlefield like threads, delicate, precise, lethal. But in the end, I overwhelmed her not with brute strength, but speed and versatility. I was behind her at that instant. I didn't strike to kill, just placed my blade gently against the back of her neck. Yield, I said. There was a long pause. Then she gave a small sigh and slowly lowered her hands. The spells around her dissolved into shimmering particles. Well, she said, sounding almost pleased, I suppose I did agree to your terms. I lowered my sword. That means, she turned with a faint smile and bowed slightly. From this day forth, I am yours to command. Lady Rimuru. I pumped my fist. Yes. One step closer to escaping the nightmare of paperwork. Ren facepalmed in the background. Blanc looked up at me again, her eyes curious. I look forward to serving you, my demon. Lord. And just like that, my office nightmare was one demon closer to being over. As the dust of the battle settled, Blanc gracefully brushed a strand of her white hair behind her ear. She walked toward Diablo, her crimson eyes glowing with emotion, curiosity, admiration, and the faintest trace of something else. Noir, that strength, she murmured, lips curling into a faint smile. You've truly found a worthy master. Diablo gave his classic, pride-drenched laugh, hand over chest. Foo-foo, it's Diablo now. Lady Rimuru was gracious enough to grant me that name. Blanc froze for a heartbeat. Then her eyes narrowed, and she whispered with a dramatic pout, I never expected you to receive a name before me. I always thought if any of us were to be named first, it would be me. She turned her head slightly with a soft HMPH, arms crossed, elegant but visibly jealous. I chuckled. Well, if that's how you feel, how about I fix that right now? Blanc blinked, surprised. Pardon, I'm offering to give you a name too. Since you're going to work for me and reduce my suffering, I mean paperwork, I think it's only fair. Blanc straightened, processing my words with silent gravity. Then, with an elegant bow, she replied. If that is your will, Lady Rimuru, I will gladly accept. Her voice was reverent. Even Diablo looked momentarily impressed, perhaps a bit proud. All right then, I grinned. From now on, your name will be Testarossa. The name hung in the air like a holy invocation. Magic swirled and surged around Blanc's Testarossa's body. Her aura pulsed and expanded, and for a brief moment, it felt like a pressure wave swept across the room. She absorbed the energy effortlessly, her form stabilizing without even needing rest. Testarossa, she whispered, her eyes shimmering. A beautiful name. I accept it with honor. She turned back to Diablo, still a little haughty. But you'll always be Noir to me. I don't recall granting you that liberty, Diablo replied smoothly, but the smug curl of his lips showed he didn't mind. Lady Rimuru, Testarossa said again, her tone respectful but warm, please command me as you see fit. I am yours body and soul. I gave a proud nod. Great, let's tackle the next summon, this is going great. After Testarossa, now looking very pleased with herself, stepped back with elegance and that barely hidden possessive air around Diablo, it was time for the next summon. All right, Diablo. Who's next? He bowed with a flourish. Let us summon Violet and John next. We began the ritual again, me initiating the magic, Diablo subtly amplifying the call with his own magical signature. A familiar distortion filled the air, the kind that always accompanied something powerful crossing dimensions. First to arrive was a girl in a swirl of amethyst light. She stepped forward with confident grace, an obviously beautiful girl, her middle-length purple hair tied in a stylish side ponytail, glimmering like polished silk under the chamber's light. Her eyes were sharp, seductive. Her purple fingernails clicked lightly as she folded her arms. She tilted her head slightly. Noir, you summoned me. Before Diablo could answer, another ripple of magic announced the second arrival. This one was more chaotic. A girl with shoulder-length blonde hair appeared in a gust of wind. Blue eyes scanned the room with a mixture of skepticism and amusement. She wore a black snow coat with a skull pin, and her slouched posture gave her all the vibes of a high school delinquent. Like, if she started chewing gum and called me, Teach, I wouldn't have been surprised. She gave an unimpressed whistle. Yo, what's the emergency, Noir? It's Diablo, he corrected again, but neither of them seemed to care. They both turned their attention to me. Violet narrowed her eyes, her smile turning dangerous. And you are? John cracked her knuckles. You don't look like some big shot. Just a cutesy lady in fancy robes. What, is this a tea party? I could already feel Ren's disapproval spiking behind me. Calm down, I got this. I'm Rimuru Tempest, Demon Lord. You sensed Diablo's magic, but I'm the one who summoned you. A long pause. Ha, they both said in unison. Violet's aura flared with predatory interest. John smirked, sliding into a low stance like she was itching to brawl. Oh, a demon lord wants to command me. You've got guts, Violet said with a cold gleam in her eye. Why don't we test your worth, then? John added, cracking her neck. I sighed. I knew this was coming. Before either of them could fully finish powering up, I moved. Disintegration. It was over in a blink. I held back a lot. I didn't want to scar them permanently, just get the message across. Their forms were knocked back, magic disrupted, clothes smoking slightly, thankfully not ruined, as they landed flat on the ground with dazed expressions. Still think I'm just a cutesy lady? Violet blinked up at me, eyes wide. Wait, that was. Yeah, that was disintegration, John groaned, sitting up with a wince. What the hell? They exchanged a look. Then, like flipping a switch, both of them stood and bowed. Quote. Very well, Violet said, voice now velvety smooth and respectful. We will serve you, Lady Rimuru. If you are the one who gave Noir his name, then you are worthy of ours, too. John scratched her head and grinned. TCH, what a pain, but sure, if you're that strong, I'm game. Being your subordinate sounds kinda fun. I blinked. Quote. That was easier than expected. Ren cleared her throat behind me. Only after you blasted them into submission. With the tension broken and the two girls standing respectfully before me, I let out a small sigh. All right then, if you're going to serve under me, you'll need names, won't you? They both perked up at that, especially the purple-haired one, who was clearly more of a drama queen than I'd expected. I'll name you Ultima. A rush of magic burst around her as the name took hold, binding her to me and blessing her existence with newfound power. Her eyes shimmered like a galaxy of swirling magic, and she gave me a dazzling smile, all her previous cockiness melted into charm. Then I turned to the blonde one. And you, will be Carrera. The change was immediate. Carrera blinked, then grinned wide, nearly hopping in place as she absorbed the magic. Oh ho Tilda, I like that, that sounds strong, and, loud, yep, definitely the loud one. Behind me, Diablo nodded, clearly satisfied with the result. The three of them stood lined up before me like a hand-picked unit, powerful and beautiful. Then Testarossa stepped forward, with a poised and graceful air, placing a hand on her chest as she bowed. I hope that Lady Rimuru will allow me and my 200 subordinates to join your ranks, she said with a charming smile. Ultima chimed in next, cheerful and dramatic as ever. Me too, sir. I, along with my 200 servants, wish to follow Lady Rimuru. I don't object either, Carrera added quickly, nearly yelling. I, along with my 200 soldiers, pledge my service to Lady Rimuru. I blinked again. Wait, what, 200 each? Diablo of course decided now was the time to offer his evil chuckle. Kufufufufu. They each have 2 lieutenants, and there was one other person that caught my attention as well. That person has around 100 subordinates of his own. Thus, there are approximately 700 in total. I nearly stumbled backward. 700, you brought me 700 demons. Diablo placed a hand over his chest, looking far too proud. But of course, with your ever-expanding influence, my lady, it is only fitting you possess a proper demonic force at your command. I turned to Ren, who looked about 3 seconds away from fainting. Quote. You're not going to make me fill out the personnel registration for 700 demons, right? Ren blinked, then slowly shook her head. No, my lady, I will. You just approve it. I nodded with a sigh of relief. Seal, speaking calmly in my mind. Open double-angle bracket, a wise decision. Though, it appears your workload may have multiplied before it could be reduced. Close double-angle bracket. Quote. I should have expected that. Still, with these three at my side, Testarossa, Ultima, and Carrera, things just got a lot more interesting around here. I gave them a nod, resting a hand on my hip as I smiled. I give you permission. The more, the merrier, right? That was all it took. With that single statement, the 3 demonesses grinned like children given permission to cause chaos. A moment later, the air shimmered and rippled with summoned magic. 7 figures emerged, first majestic, powerful demons who carried themselves with the composure of high-ranking officers. They knelt before me in perfect unison. Behind them, the space twisted again. And then bam! 700 demons manifested, flowing in like a tide of disciplined darkness. Their eyes burned with unshakable loyalty. The 7 elite bowed low. From now on, we are the loyal servants of Demon Lord Rimuru-sama. We await your commands. As if on cue, the 700 demons dropped to one knee in a wave of coordinated reverence. The unified sound of hundreds of knees hitting the ground echoed through the chamber like a martial drumbeat. It was, honestly, kind of badass. Still, there was a technical problem to deal with. Since they were demons, spiritual lifeforms without physical bodies, their mana would gradually dissipate if they remained like this for too long. I couldn't afford to let 700 highly trained soldiers just wink out of existence like candle flames in the wind. Let's get you all settled, then, I said with a grin. I closed my eyes and activated Azathoth. Immediately, the world shifted. I devoured all the summoned demons. At the same time, deep inside my imaginary space, the emulated soul seal had prepared earlier began to glow. Hundreds of skeleton-like forms, bone golems constructed from purified magisteel, stood silently like blank vessels awaiting their purpose. As the demon souls were fused into them, the golems began to move, one by one. A new legion was being born. But that wasn't all. For Testarossa, Ultima, and Carrera, Seal had crafted something truly special. 3 bone golems originally forged from pure magisteel had been infused with my true dragon-class magicules. That process had transformed them into something far greater, Hihirokane bone golems. Unlike ordinary materials, Hihirokane was a legendary metal, born only when magisteel was continuously refined and tempered by immense magical power. The moment the Demonis's essence merged with them, the cores pulsed with red light and stabilized perfectly. Their power levels surged to terrifying new heights, and their humanoid forms emerged, divine and beautiful, deadly and refined. Ciel's voice echoed pleasantly in my mind. Open double-angle bracket integration successful. All units are stable. Magicule cost minimized through harmonic resonance with your draconic core. Close double-angle bracket. I nodded, pleased. With that, my new elite core was born immortal, indestructible, and utterly loyal. I wasn't just building an army anymore. I was building a kingdom that couldn't be touched. I looked at Diablo, who watched the results with an admiring smile. Not bad, huh, I said casually. Kufufufufu. Not bad at all, my lady. As expected from the one I have chosen to serve. Of course, I'm awesome like that. Thanks to my power as a true dragon and with Seal managing the entire naming process through our link, I didn't need to worry about overexerting myself. Naming hundreds of high-tier demons. Normally that'd be a death sentence for most rulers. But me, hey, I'm not most rulers. Seal smoothly regulated the magicule expenditure. The moment I spoke the name, she processed and sealed it into their cores. So, I started with the strongest, those who stood closest behind the 3 demonesses. Moss, Cian, Veyron, Agera, Esprit, Zonda. Testarossa's lieutenants were Moss and Cian. Ultima's lieutenants were Veyron and Zonda. Carrera's lieutenants were Agera and Esprit. The demon that piqued Diablo's interest was Venom. 2 of them were now demon peers. The other 4 were still archdemons. Nonetheless, their auras felt different from before. Although I couldn't put my finger on it, it felt as if their limiters had been removed. In addition, Venom also evolved into an archdemon, greatly boosting his power. Well, there was no denying it now. They were strong, frighteningly strong, could take on a country solo, kind of strong. And if that sounds like I'm exaggerating, I'm really not. I sighed, brushing my hair back with one hand. Okay, I've done my part. Diablo, the rest is on you. He bowed, his usual theatrical grin in place. But of course, my beloved master. I shall mold them with utmost care and precision. Right, you better. I had zero intention of micromanaging 700 demon soldiers. I'd given Diablo the go-ahead to bring them in, and I kept up my end of the deal by naming them. That was it, no more, no less. Surely, Diablo would educate them well. Right, anyway, after naming the top brass, I moved on to the rest one by one. They weren't as powerful as the 7, but every one of them was a cut above the rest of the demon world's rank and file. And as a result, they transcended normal limits. These weren't just unique class demons anymore. They were creatures so powerful, so overwhelmingly sinister, that even the truth of the world itself wavered around them. Each one reborn in my name, branded with power no human scholar or mage could ever hope to grasp. A legion was born, a force of less than 1,000, but one that could wipe clean entire armies. Fearsome, loyal, and utterly terrifying to anyone who stood against us. They were the Black Numbers. They were the strongest force of the Tempest Federation, and the symbol of fear. All in all, a pretty productive day. I clapped my hands once, trying to look as regal and official as possible. Well then, I'm sure you all have a lot of catching up to do, right? Testarossa, Ultima, Carrera, and Diablo all turned toward me in unison. So I'll leave it to the 4 of you to work out the chain of command and all the finer details. I smiled brightly. Once everything's settled, kindly report to Ren. She'll file things properly. Ren narrowed her violet eyes. I deliberately didn't look her way. No way I was getting guilt-tripped today, not after pulling off a triple demon name combo and creating a legion of 700 elite soldiers. I've used up all my magicules, I declared dramatically, casually turning on my heel. So I'm going to get some rest. Ren didn't say anything at first, but I could feel the heat of her glare burning into the back of my neck like a well-focused disintegration spell. Even so, I kept walking. I had a perfectly valid reason for slacking today. I named 700 demons, for crying out loud. That takes serious energy. I waved behind me without turning. Ren, don't worry, I'm leaving things in your capable hands tilde. Dot 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 dot. Dot 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 dot. Dot 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 dot. After 3 full days of blissful, paperwork-free recovery which I absolutely deserved, by the way I returned to my office, brimming with optimism and good vibes. Then I opened the door. Quote dot dot dot. What the? A literal mountain of documents sat waiting for me on the desk. No, seriously, this wasn't a metaphor. I could barely see my chair on the other side. Ren, I shouted in horror. What is this? We just recruited a small army of highly competent overqualified demons. Why is there still so much paperwork? Ren, standing beside the desk with her usual perfect posture and hands folded, gave me a tight, almost polite smile. My lady, she said, voice calm but positively vibrating with restrained fury, yes, we recruited them. She took a step forward. I instinctively backed up. But, she continued, that smile never reaching her eyes, we haven't assigned any of them their jobs yet thanks to a certain someone slacking off for 3 days straight while making excuses like, I'm out of magicules and, Seal said I should rest. I gulped. That sounds oddly specific, I muttered weakly. Ren's smile widened ever so slightly. Indeed. I glanced at Seal, who stood silently nearby in her formal maid uniform, mask in place but I could feel her smirking internally. Open double angle bracket master, you did tell me to cover for you while you recover, close double angle bracket. You're not helping, I grumbled. Ren continued, pulling out a long scroll. Here's the current list of positions that require assignments. If you'd kindly stop running away and start approving placement, perhaps we can return to a manageable workload. Wait, that's even more work than usual. Yes, Ren said sweetly. And it's all yours. I flopped face first onto the desk in despair, the paper mountain rustling ominously around me. I knew giving names came with a price, but this is extortion. And if you don't start now, Ren added as she neatly set a fresh ink pen beside me, Sheehan will be arriving with a second batch of documents from the Foreign Affairs office. I jolted upright in horror. What? She said something about budget proposals for the festival and requesting your final signature on invitation letters. Seal, I begged, grabbing her sleeve. Please, help me escape. Seal tilted her head. Wouldn't that be a poor example for your subordinates, master? Quote dot dot dot. No, be strong, my lady, Ren said, placing the first document in front of me. The future of Tempest depends on your signature. I stared at the cursed sheet of paper, despair washing over me again. The 3 of them, Testarossa, Ultima, and Carrera, stood proudly before me in my office. I leaned back in my chair, which I had just reclaimed from the paperwork mountain, eyeing them thoughtfully. Behind me, Ren and Seal stood like silent guardians, though I could feel Ciel's curiosity radiating through the link. All right, I began. Let's cut to it. We currently have 2 major positions open. First, Chief Prosecutor, someone who can root out any serious evil or corruption in Tempest and bring charges against them. Ultima's eyes sparkled with a dangerously excited glint. A greater evil than me? She purred, licking her lips. That gets my blood pumping. I'll sniff them out, tear their secrets apart, and drag them into the light. You can count on me, Lady Rimuru. I may or may not have made a mistake. Ciel's voice echoed calmly in my mind. Open double angle bracket. That one will need supervision. Close double angle bracket. Second, I said, moving on, we need a Chief Justice Officer for the Supreme Court. Someone to fairly and calmly judge trials with an even hand. Carrera stepped forward, straightening her coat, her usual wild smirk replaced with surprising dignity. I shall judge with utmost fairness, she said, placing her hand over her heart. I may enjoy a good explosion, but when it comes to justice, I'll be serious. I hope to meet your expectations, Lady Rimuru. I blinked. That actually sounded promising. Then she added with a grin, of course, if someone's guilty, I could sentence them to a live demonstration of my magic. Ren's hand twitched at her side. Her lips pressed into a tight line, and she took a deep breath, an ominous sign I'd learned to dread. Then came the words of doom. Now that the important roles are assigned, she said coolly, there is one more role that must be filled, my lady's third personal maid. I froze. Wait, third? Since when were we taking applications for that? Seal, standing quietly nearby with her mask on, simply tilted her head, radiating innocence. I've decided it's necessary, Ren continued smoothly. With Lady Seal and myself already fulfilling that role, it's becoming difficult to handle our duties while also managing your workload. I need someone who can ensure you don't escape, and who can attend to your needs when we're busy. She turned to Testarossa, her expression perfectly composed but her tone absolute. So, since you are the only one left without a formal position, you will now serve directly under my lady as her third personal maid. A long pause followed. Testarossa blinked, looking mildly surprised for the first time in, well, ever. Me. Ultima's eyes widened, and she immediately turned toward her. What? No fair. Why does she get to be with Lady Rimuru all the time? Carrera huffed, arms crossed, her face full of irritation. TCH. I was this close. I should have volunteered for the court later. Being a personal maid would have been way more fun. Testarossa simply smiled in the face of their envy, folding her hands together in elegant submission. If that is Lady Rimuru's will, she said softly, turning her glowing crimson eyes on me, then I shall serve with my utmost devotion and pleasure. Wait a second. I'll dress her, bathe her, bring her tea. I didn't agree to that much. Seal gently touched her mask and nodded. As long as you follow the proper etiquette, I will allow it. Wait. What just happened? Ren handed me a fresh stack of papers, looking perfectly pleased. With that, I can finally return to handling administrative affairs in peace. Ultima and Carrera were still pouting. Testarossa leaned in, smiling elegantly. I shall begin by observing your daily habits closely, Lady Rimuru. So I may better serve you. I have made a terrible mistake. I stared blankly at the three of them, Ultima and Carrera practically vibrating with envy while Testarossa stood there with a flawless, radiant smile that somehow felt extremely smug. I could almost hear her inner monologue, victory. Ren, standing beside me with her usual composed face, adjusted her glasses. With that, the assignments are finalized. Right, finalized. I had just handed one of the most elegant and dangerous demons in existence full access to my daily life as my personal maid. I'm going to regret this, aren't I? You'll be in charge of attending to my lady's personal needs, Ren continued smoothly, ignoring the sharp looks Ultima and Carrera were giving each other. Assisting in her preparation, clothing coordination, time management, and preventing her from escaping duties. Testarossa's eyes glittered. Why, it would be my honor. I shall ensure Lady Rimuru's every moment is managed with the utmost care. From dawn to dusk, and perhaps through the night, should the need arise. I nearly choked on my tea. We'll have rotating shifts for nighttime support, I said quickly, waving my hand. No need for all that. Ren turned to me slowly. My lady, when have you ever worked through the night? Well, it could happen. Testarossa giggled behind her hand. Of course, Lady Rimuru. Her voice was sweet, too sweet, the kind that makes you feel like prey being sized up. I sighed. Anyway, that's that. Ren, I'll leave sorting out their official titles and uniforms to you. I'm gonna go check on festival preparations. Yeah, Ren narrowed her eyes. You're not running off again, are you? Absolutely not, I said with all the sincerity of a professional liar. I'm just making sure everything is going smoothly. Ultima folded her arms, still sulking. So not fair. I'd be the perfect personal maid. Why her? Carrera slammed her palm against the desk. Yeah, if anyone should be dressing Lady Rimuru in the morning, it's me. I blinked. Wait, what exactly do you think being a maid entails? Testarossa merely bowed gracefully. Ladies, let us not forget our loyalty is to Lady Rimuru's will. If she wishes me to attend her directly, I shall obey with unwavering devotion. I ignored her and quickly made my way outside. To be continued.